Hey everybody, welcome to another video here on the 67 Stang channel. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season, and if you celebrate it, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that 2025 brings you much happiness, prosperity, and success as we head into the new year. It's just so hard to believe that it's 2025, or it will be very soon. Probably by the time the video goes up, it will be. So anyway, guys, very excited. I had a great Christmas, a lot of time with family and friends. We got a new puppy called Finn. He's a chocolate miniature schnauzer. Y'all may remember that, well, 2024 was a rough year for us in pets. We had to put down our old miniature schnauzer, Lucky, that we had had for 16, 17 years. He had a great life. He lived, obviously, to a ripe old age. He started having seizures, and we had to put him down. And then, of course, Soko's, our beloved little orange kitty that made many appearances here on the channel and videos. He sadly was attacked by a couple of pit bulls that had gotten loose and didn't survive, bringing everybody down. Sorry about that. But my wife and I had a big hole in our heart that we needed to fill. So we found this wonderful schnauzer named Finn through the Schnauzer Love Rescue. We brought him home, and he's starting to fit in. He does have some issues, as we all do, right? That we've enlisted a trainer, and hopefully he will start puppy school. He's 4 years old, so he's not really a puppy, but we all call them puppies very soon. So anyway, now kind of back to the topic of the car here. So for Christmas, I got several new parts for the car that we will be installing. So we've got some new LED tail lights and bezels to go on the car. We also have a whole new rear panel that needs to be put in back there, because you'll see it when we install the new tail lights. Some rust issues back there that we'll have to deal with. We've got a brand new front bumper up here to put on. We've got a luggage rack. So I've always liked the luggage racks, the chrome or stainless luggage racks that these cars often had added at the dealership. So my wife got me one of those for Christmas. What other things did we get for the car? Oh, so when we put the new bumper on, I've got a bunch of other parts for the grill area that we want to put on that will do that. So a lot of good things. Still have the window regulators to do, which I need to give me a chance to also work on the adjustment on the windows. Y'all may remember in past videos where I did all the weather stripping, took the windows out and did all that. Well, I found the other day we had a big rainstorm and I had the car out actually in the rain. It leaked through the windows there, so I need to do some more adjustment on that. So putting regulators in will give me a chance to do all that. So a lot of things going with the car. Pardon me. I think first we're going to go ahead and do the tail lights. We're going to replace those standard tail lights with some LED ones that I got. So first I'll show you what we got. Then we'll go through the process of what it takes to replace those. So with that, folks, let's get started. Okay, so you see here all the parts that go with the tail lights here that I'll be replacing. So first is this kind of all-in-one piece LEDs. The whole idea is that this is going to make the car safer, right? That the LEDs are brighter, they stand out more, all that kind of good stuff. Now, these particular units, and all of this came from CJ Pony Parts. I think you can get them from other places, but it's from United Pacific for Ford 1967, 1968 tail lights, 84 LED down here, lifetime warranty. But the nice thing, as we'll see in a minute, is that there's no wiring involved. It literally plugs into the stock socket for the tail lights. So you don't have to do any special wiring from the perspective of just having normal lights. Now, if you want to do the optional all-in-one brake light, you can do some wiring there. But basically, this just is a plug-and-play solution that really should brighten things up. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Just so you can see, hopefully I can get that in there. There's the part number that goes with this here. That's FTL6701 LED. So 67 to 68 Ford Mustang red tail light lenses. So you can see I've already kind of been into this one. Let's open this up. Oops, so you can see it. But you can see this is what I was talking about, where it just plugs right into the socket where the normal light bulb does, right there. So hopefully this all should be pretty straightforward. Replaces the existing taillight lenses. Now, the one thing I don't know that I'm going to need, because I'm not putting LEDs all the way around, is there is an LED flasher that replaces the stock flasher. This is because the resistance provided by LEDs is a lot less than what you have with your normal bulb. So a traditional flasher doesn't work. This is designed to deal with that. So now, because I have traditional bulbs on the front blinkers and the hood blinkers, I may not need to install this one, but I've got one just in case. It's not hard. It plugs in where the existing flasher does. It does have a ground that you have to attach, but again, nothing hard. And then also, to make things pretty, I've got these new, let's see, I had one open, new bezels that go around the lights. This is for a 67. 68 is very similar. The difference is the 68 has a black painted around there. The 67 is just straight chrome. Again, these also include the gaskets that go on, and then there's studs. Pull this out. There's studs here that screw into those holes. So this is all of what we'll be installing here in this one to replace the taillights with LEDs. So what I think I'll do is I'll replace one, and then we can do a comparison of, oh, a bird just flew in here, the LED versus the traditional one bulb taillights. So time to go back to the trunk and figure out what we got to do to remove the existing taillight lenses. Okay guys, so we're back here at the tail of the Mustang. That is one sexy looking pack, right? Anyway, so what we'll be doing is replacing these here. The lens assembly that's in there, you can see some of the rust. Well, maybe you can't, I don't know. And some of the rust back over here. That, again, is why I've got a whole new one of these here. So we'll see if when I get around to replacing that. I will. But anyway, not for now. I just, again, want to keep this thing driving. It's friggin' 50 degrees, almost 60 degrees out here. I had the car out the other day just cruising around. So pop the trunk. And then I'm going to bring you into here so we can take a look. Switch to camera on my phone. Okay, so this is this is the tail light assembly here, and all that's in. So we've got to take it out. There is the socket for the light bulb right there that we've got. So to take this out, we've got to first remove the chrome bezels here, and as you saw earlier, there with these studs, there's a stud up here and a stud down there for all three of them. Right? There's that one, and then there's one over here, right there, that we've got to take out. I've got to figure out what the size nuts that happens to be. And once we get that, then we've got to pull this out. Like this unit to get to the lenses that we see in here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those out, and I'll let you know what size nuts those are. I'm trying to think of it. Anyway, I'll let you know, and we'll get that made out. Okay, so I've got those nuts off. By the way, they are right there. They're tiny. They're 11/32. So I recommend you have a deep socket of that size, 11/32, to take these off. I didn't. I had the small, is this the right one? Yeah, the small, normal socket. Yeah. Anyway, 11/32, and then I had to use, because I don't even have a box end or open end wrench, but I used a number, what's this, a number, I think number 9, which was a metric, which is very close, 9mm. Seemed to work. Okay, so now what we're going to do is push these out like so, and then you can pull that bezel out. So you can see it and the studs there. So I'm going to take all of those out, and then we'll take the lens assembly out. I did replace these back in the 80s at some point, so these aren't the original bezels on here. They're not in bad shape, but we got new ones, so I'll probably keep these just because. Anyway, I'll go take the rest of these out. Okay, so I've got the bezels all out. Now to take out this assembly here, it says it's good to just push on these lenses here to get those out. There is a gasket that holds this in place, and I don't know that I've ever pulled the actual lenses out of here. You can kind of see the gasket here, so I'm going to push on this and see if I can't get that out. Here, it's going to take a little bit of persuasion. I had to persuade the lenses to come out by knocking on the studs with little Mr. Ball Peen hammer there. I don't want to necessarily, hit this with a hammer. So let me see what I can do to finesse that out of there to get in there. Because you got to take that box out to get to the lenses, which is, that whole lens assembly is what that LED is replacing. So yeah, let me do that. Okay, so got that out of there, and it just took a bit of pressure pushing on the lenses that were here out to break the seal on there, because that hasn't been out. I said, I don't think ever that I know of, that I remember. Like I said, I replaced the bezels at one point, but I didn't replace lenses or anything like that. But you can come over here now. You can see it's out, but God, you can see all the rust and stuff. And here I wish I had gotten new gaskets, but now I'm going to pull this out, which just kind of pries out of there, and then we can take out the assembly. So let me set up my other camera and we can get this pulled out. Okay, so now let's pull this gasket out of here. This big, it's huge gasket, by the way, guys. Really thick gasket. This is not a small gasket. Oops. Doesn't help that this thing keeps. Apparently, I cracked something. Something is in here besides rust. I bet it was an old bulb got stuck in there. Well, there's a bulb, but that one's not cracked. I guess there was just remnants of an old bulb in there. Okay, so let's try here, prying this thing out. Pocket causing problems. There we go, get to the bottom. Now see how thick that gasket is. Now, again, I'm going to try to be careful pulling it out because I don't have a replacement for it. That is. Wow, look at all that rust coming out there. Oops. Apparently there's a secondary gasket that I ripped. Okay, now we can... Wow, we're going to have to clean all that up. Hit it with some paint. Okay, so now we've got some Phillips head screws here. So one on each side, looks like two on the top and two on the bottom that need to come out so I can remove the lenses. So I'm going to get my Phillips head screwdriver and pop those out. And then we can clean this bucket up. Much messier than I thought it was going to be. Another bulb and parts of it, so who knows? Okay guys, got the 6 screws out. Yep, they're kind of a neat little screw. They're threaded on the end and have kind of this spiral shape going up, and that's what holds the lens in. Original lens, you can see the FOMOCO. Well, I can see it. Hopefully you can. There, so these are the original lenses that came with the car. So now they come out like so. And there is the bucket. Dump all the rust out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go clean this thing up. And I'm probably going to, what that is, hit some of this with some Rust-Oleum or something to stop this from rusting any worse. This is, you know, where water and stuff gets in more, so I'm going to clean that up. Now, with the LEDs, I don't think, there's my phone, that this will be an issue. But if you're just replacing the lenses and going back with a stock setup, you don't want to paint this area here because that helps reflect the light from the single bulb out the lenses. So you don't want to paint that black or anything. And I'm still going to leave that because it's good, but I'm going to paint this up here with some spray paint. I'll take this off and clean this up. So I'm going to get to cleaning all this. No need to video cleaning and painting. Y'all know how that works. So I'm going to get on that, and then we'll get to assembly. Very good. Okay, so much better. Got that cleaned up. Used my wire wheel on my drill. Used a wire brush. Used a steel wool pad, and then took it inside and kind of rinsed off all the trash. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and paint the bottom of this. I don't know if you can see how pitted and whatnot that is, but I want to protect that because this is an original part and it's still not in horrible shape. It's not perfect, but still in decent shape. I also cleaned the gasket. I have it sitting in the sun and the wind drying. As you can probably hear the wind blowing stuff around. But I'm going to go ahead and paint this up, let it start drying, and then I'm going to clean that rear panel where this was at while this is drying. So let me get onto that, and we'll get back at the next steps. Okay, so we're ready for reassembly. The paint is dry there. We've got our cleaned up gasket, and we're now ready to put things in. Now, note when you're reassembling the difference in the bezels, how that goes. That's important to note because you want to make sure when you're putting your new lenses in, right, that matches up. Remember, here was our old lens there. Now, one thing I'm going to try to do that I just realized is on the old lens, there's a gasket back here. There's not a gasket on here, so I'm going to try to take that old gasket off. Carefully, as best as I can. Again, I did not get new gaskets. I should have. I didn't think about it. But, you know, this gasket seems to be in good shape for a, you know, as far as I know, a 50-year-old gasket. 50-plus-year-old, because it's at 67. It's about to be 2005. So here we have that gasket that goes in there. So there's that gasket that came off the underside of that original lens. We then take the new lens, make sure it's pointing in the right direction. Now, there's a hole. See? There. I'm going to feed that wire through there as I put this in. Now, you want to put this in, you'll see there are holes that the lenses go through and the screws go through that you want to try to keep lined up as you're doing this. Now, again, on the original, there was a gasket and a gasket. Why there was a double gasket, I don't know. So, but I'm going to use it. Said redo what the factory had, because as far as I recall, this has never been off the car. I did replace the bezels back in 80 something, 88, 80, yeah, probably 88-ish. Now this one is not in nearly as good a shape. It did rip, but you know, that's fine. We'll just, as the saying goes, pretend we didn't see that. We put that gasket back in. There. Okay, so we have the new lenses, the LED lenses, and again, I did test it, by the way. I did plug this in on the car to make sure that this all worked before I started this, right? So, because I don't want to take all this apart. So next is to take these 6 screws and put them in where they go. There's 1 on each side and 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. And they're just a Phillips head screw that screws the bezel or the lens back into the casing or whatever this is. Now, again, you don't need to torque the living bejesus out of this thing, because you know you're attaching plastic to metal and you don't want to crack the plastic. Just get it tight enough that it seals. Here. And if you wonder where the screws go versus where the bezel studs go through, just remember that the bezels go over, right, over the lens, right, like through there. Okay, so the holes that are right above the light sections here is for the bezels. The one that go between each one of those, where the low spots are, is where the screws go. If that helps, if you have any questions about where to screw. Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. I know, I'm so funny. I crack myself Okay. Oh, lost the screw. There's the wind kicking up. We're supposed to get cold weather in, cold for Georgia next week. Actually talking about potential snow on Monday, because it is New Year's Eve as I'm recording this. Achoo. There's a strong sneeze for you. And sure these are tight, but again, not over tight. You don't need to torque the bejesus out of this. Again, you're just trying to secure plastic, but you want to make sure it creates a seal with that gasket. Okay, so I've got that done. Now it's time to go back with the big honking seal here that I cleaned up. Now, if you do get a new one of these, you want to make sure the holes go all the way through for the studs. The studs here, now you've got 3 studs. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, bad joke. So you may want to take a punch or a awl or something to make sure those go through. This obviously, because it's the original gasket, already goes all the way through. And now, so we just set this back in the way it came out. It actually goes in real easy since I've cleaned everything up. There's not all the rust in the way there, so that slides in. And now we have it reassembled and ready to go back in the car. So let's go over there and do that. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're ready to go back in here, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is take this unit, and I've been told, or the new ones, that it's best to start in the middle to align things. So we're going to put this in through here. Make sure other stuff is out of the way on the inside down here. And bring the unit up. Okay, so we got that started in there. Oops, oh, that's my problem right there. Let's not pinch wiring trip. Okay. Okie dokie. So it takes a little bit of finesse to get those in place. Now we're going to put the nuts on the bezels. So the bezel studs are what hold that bucket that houses the tail lights in there. Okay, now I've got the other two to put on, but let's bring you around here. And let's see, how do I zoom in on this thing? There we go. I think that looks very good compared to what we have over here. Which those I definitely replaced because those are actually 68 lenses or bezels versus the 67, which you can see doesn't have the black in the middle. I did not know that. I learned that today. So anyway, I'm going to finish this up and then we'll bring you back. Okay, so we got the bezels tightened in there, which by the way, I think I told you the wrong metric size. It's the equivalent. It's actually a, can't get that to focus. Anyway, it's a 6, not a 9 or whatever I said. Next, to connect this up here, something to note that there are 2 pins on either side, but notice one is down deep and one is up higher. You'll need to match that in on your socket, which has, let's see if I can see the, yeah, you can see it there. There's a little J on that side and another J on that side. That one's the shorter one. That one's a longer one, so you need to make sure you match those up when you put that in. So I'm just going to jam that in, and I can't hold the camera and do this at the same time. Should note, if you test this, like I said I did, notice that my socket here for my bulb, the taillight actually has a connected ground on there, a wire. Some of these I think originally grounded to the bezel itself here, so if you try to test it, doesn't work, make sure you get a good ground there. So anyway, I'm going to go and plug this in, and then we'll take a look, see how the new light compares to the old light. Okay, so we got it all set up, installed, so now the final test. Let's turn on the lights and see if there's a difference. Okay. Well, you can barely tell. I don't know if you can tell it on the camera. Let's try turning it a little bit and zooming in. You can see that light versus that light. That light, the original, that light, the LED. A definite difference. So let's see if the blinker works. Doesn't look like the blinker works. With the lights on. Whoops, I forgot, the key has to be on. Okay. No blinker. Let's turn the lights off and see if that works. What does that do? Okay, the blinker does work with the lights off, which means I probably do need to install that LED flasher. So, not a problem, easy enough to do. This is just like replacing the other flasher. But I think definitely looks better with the LED lights. Okay, I also goofed here. Remember that whole small J hook, big J hook? I got that backwards. That's why you can barely see the blinker. It gets fixed later. So there you go, guys. We put in the new LED taillights. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side next. No need in filming that. Hope you've enjoyed it. Seemed to be a nice upgrade to the car, so I'll get that flasher put in. Again, I'm not Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Don't forget, we do still have the merch store with t-shirts and cups and other things there. So make sure to check that out. The link will be in the description below. And thanks for all your support. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, which I know in the grand scheme of YouTube is a very small number. But that's the number that you hit that you start getting to monetize. You actually get to start making a little money, little money at that level. So again, we appreciate all your support. Hope 2025 proves to be a great, fabulous year for you. We still got a lot to do on the Mustang here. So with that, guys, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, I know I already closed this out, but I started working on this side, and look at how bad that was. A lot worse than I thought it was. Guess it's a good thing I got that new panel to put in here at some point, because that is almost all the way through. Hate it when you find rust like that. You know, otherwise it's a pretty damn solid car, but oh well. We'll get it fixed at some point. Without the lights on. Okay.